I really do believe that. We do have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity right now to redesign work in a way that it releases the potential in more of us. But in order to do that, we have to make 5 fundamental shifts to leadership, which I'm going to cover in about 7 minutes. So first, we're moving from a perspective standpoint from an environment where we had labor surpluses, a largely obedient workforce or that expectation, and workplaces were largely depersonalized. Now we're moving into a period of time where labor shortages are going to continue unabated. We have an empowered workforce, and that's not going to change. And they're demanding a humanization of work. And if we lean into and leverage that, we'll unleash more potential. From a mindset standpoint, we're used to being the bosses. We manage process, the talent works for us. When reality is, we're going to have to turn into humble, curious learners where we enable success and the talent, we work for the talent. Now, from a cultural standpoint, we pitted folks against each other in Hunger Games-style forced rankings that were always a terrible idea. Now we need to move from that peers as competitors environment to peers as collaborators. And then we got to move from being that unquestioned expert who could make decisions in certainty and drive results with extrinsic pressure to being a humble, curious learner who can cultivate intrinsic motivation. And then behaviors, we've got to stop myopically focusing on driving productivity with fear, domination, or even humiliation to the point of exhaustion and burnout, to creating effectiveness through inspiration, caring, love, and belonging, and practicing better habits towards resilience and well-being. So from a perspective standpoint, people used to ask me to do a talk on remote work. And I said, really, we got to step back from remote work and realize what happened in the pandemic. The pandemic was an existential crisis. So before the pandemic, we had our professional life. And it was fodder for our resume, our CV, our LinkedIn profile. For a lot of us, it was the entire focus of our identity. And then we had a smaller circle called our personal life, which was subordinated to our professional life. It was fodder for, frankly, our eulogy, which we didn't think about all that often, until you had an existential crisis when you felt the fragility of life and the finiteness of time. We had agency over our personal lives, almost no agency over our professional lives. And this is what happened for a lot of folks. A lot of folks, their personal life became more important than their professional life. Some people, it came equal. Some people didn't change. But we had agency, autonomy, trust, and accountability over all of it. And you know what happened? We had higher levels of trust and leadership. We had higher levels of engagement. And we had higher levels of productivity. We need to figure out how to get back to that no matter where we work. Now, from a mindset perspective, we have to realize that the purpose of a company has changed. So the purpose of a company, according to Peter Drucker, was to create a customer. He said that in 1954. And so for about 30 years, we had a consumer-based society. It was really focused on keeping the customer happy, creating a customer and keeping that customer. Until in 1970, Milton Friedman wrote in the New York Times that the sole purpose of a company was to return profits to shareholders. Full stop. Environment doesn't matter. Employees don't matter. Customers don't even matter. Community doesn't matter. And so that went on for 50 some odd years, and if I'm being honest, it's still going on, but I'm trying to change that. The Business Roundtable, which is a collection of America's largest companies, the CEOs of America's largest companies, got together just before the pandemic, and they said, you know what, it's not working. The shareholder value is juicing the market, but it is not creating better value. We've got a return on assets, we've decimated our communities, we're killing the environment, and our employees are increasingly disengaged and burned out. So we need a new North Star. They came up with something like stakeholder capitalism, but I think you really need something to focus on. When you focus on everybody, it's harder to get people to really see it. So I said in 2020 that I think we're on the birth of the human value era, that the purpose of an organization is to develop your people. If you develop your people, and develop organizational capacity, you'll be in the best position to respond not only to the known, but the increasingly unknown aspects of business. So from a cultural standpoint, we tend to focus on the outputs of a company. We have great brand, we have great products. Let me tell you how we're improving our product. Let me tell you how we're improving our brand. When in reality, that's exhaust. That's exhaust from creating a great company culture with a focus on increasing your capacity. Your brand is an external expression of your culture. Your capacity, your products and services are evidence of your capacity. And when you go to hire people, rather than just hiring people into past skills and experience to slot into jobs, look for people who add and evolve your culture with their passion, their pure purpose, their curiosity, their values, with a desire to increase their human potential, a desire to increase their own capacity. They want to learn with you because they can learn faster with you than they can learn on their own. They can become the next best version of themselves. And this is a shift from focusing on what we do to why and how we do it. Now, from an approach standpoint, we're moving from linear to complex. So in the linear picture on the left, if you were the boss at the top, you relied on your individual intelligence. You were that unquestioned expert. You had all the answers. Now, increasingly, team leaders at every level in an organization have people reporting to them that have skills and knowledge that they don't have. That used to always be true of the CEO, but it was never true with the subject matter experts. Now it's constantly true with the subject matter experts. So whether it's data analytics or machine learning or generative AI, or whatever it may be, cybersecurity, now you need people to harness collective intelligence. So from a behavioral standpoint, we've got a lot to talk about, but my time is brief here. So in an organization, you have a vision of a future state. If you hit that future state, you got an outcome, very simply. And you sort of focus on, okay, in order to launch this product, this service, this business line, whatever it may be, I know I need certain skills and capabilities. And we sort of act like it's a linear, predictable, fixed process. It is not. It looks more like this. Probably wrong on the skills you needed, probably wrong on the capabilities. So I think the skills gap will never close. A skills gap forms when a human demonstrates a skill and a market values that skill in excess of supply. That's actually progress if we make learning part of work. So instead of focusing so myopically on skills, we need to start focusing on behaviors that enable us to learn and unlearn skills. I think arrogance is out. I never liked it anyway. I don't know about you, but leadership arrogance is out. I think authenticity is in. And I want you to think about yourself as an individual and as a leader like this broken piece of pottery. This is kintsugi, which is a Japanese art of repairing pottery using gold to highlight the imperfections of the repair rather than mask them. So if you think honestly about yourself as an individual and as a leader, your greatest strengths, your greatest assets probably come from profound moments of loss, pain, failure, from which you learned a lot about yourself. So kintsugi says, treat the breakage and repair as part of the history of the object and evidence of your psychological resilience. So as a leader, be that authentic leader that encourages your people to become the next best version of themselves. This is what's going to bring us to this future work that I'm trying to sell out there. And with that, I'd like to bring Mike out to the stage for a discussion.